Hi, friends. Welcome back. So, I want to have a chat with you about some of the things that go on in this world and why it's important to have good reporting and also to a community to where we can go over these things together and share some thoughts. The first story I want to talk with you today, unfortunately, is a sad story. I'll just read the headline. It says Boeing whistleblower John Barnett found dead in U.S. And if you've been following the story, you'll know that Boeing has had some manufacturing problems and essentially puts people's lives at risk. And this was a person who had worked at Boeing for, I think, 30 years and was essentially, giving information of the inside procedures. And um, I'll just say the timing of this is highly suspicious. That's all I have to say. I mean, I don't have any facts other than what I'm going to go over with you guys, but, I'd like to get your thoughts on this one as well. And I'll read through it. It says here, a former Boeing employee known for raising concerns about the firm's production standards has been found dead in the U.S. John Barnett worked for Boeing for more than 30 years before retiring in 2017. In the days before his death, he had been giving evidence in a whistleblower lawsuit against the company. Boeing said it was saddened to hear of Mr. Barnett's passing, and the Charleston County coroner confirmed his death to the BBC on Monday. It said that the 60-year-old had died from a self-inflicted wound on March 9th, and the police were investigating. Mr. Barnett had worked for the plane giant for more than 30 years until his retirement in 2017 on health grounds. And gives details about he kind of knew what was going on inside the company. So if you've been following the story, you'll know. I mean, this is certainly billions of dollars are on the line here, and it's you're dealing with very important people here. And it's unfortunate though what happened to Mr. Barnett. And I just want to mention this because it's how can I say, if you're working at a company, you see something wrong going on, you need like outlets to share, hey, I got some inside information, I think something's wrong. Be it the media, be it someone on social media, right? There's different types of media because people have different outlets that they want to reach out to. And also too, you got to find someone that will listen to you and take you seriously, right? And this is a problem with any number of things, not just, manufacturing at Boeing, but any number of things that go on in the workplace. These kind of things too, how can I say, it takes money to solve in terms of, watchdogs or regulations, this kind of stuff. I mentioned this stuff because we talked about the proposed budgets yesterday from the White House, and I was telling you guys, like, it's tough because, like, to be perfectly frank, like, we don't have enough money coming in, and there's all these needs that you have to be spending on. They even proposed, like, I was looking through this, it was like another 1.8 billion to, try to make the FAA, more regulatory, etc. But even if you put money into it, right, you have problems with bribes and this kind of stuff. It is a scary world out there, and I'm just being honest with you guys. It really is. And I wanted to actually point at a couple documentaries. One is First Downfall. If you haven't seen this is actually about Boeing. It's one that Netflix did a while ago, and it was about a crash, and essentially Boeing wanted to put out a new plane, and then they figure out ways to manufacture the new model of the plane. And in order to get around regulations, and essentially what they were doing, it's kind of a complicated story, but it was sort of how they were training pilots, and if pilots were trained on the new system or not. I saw this one, I think I saw it like 2 years ago, whatever, but after seeing it, I just don't trust Boeing at all after seeing it. And it was kind of the how can I say, maybe the moral of this particular story was that in this situation, Boeing would look after shareholders and investors and essentially money, right? Wall Street, opposed to just safety and the consumer. But I don't think this is an isolated case with Boeing, unfortunately. I think this kind of culture is rampant, unfortunately, these days. I showed you guys this before, but I just want to mention it again. If you haven't seen this movie documentary, this is also on Netflix. It's called Bitcoin. It essentially shows how inside a scammy company works, and sort of like basically how they all chase the money. And guys, I know we talk about money, investing, savings, this kind of stuff on this channel, but I also want to throw in ethics in there because I think it's important. It's what I used to teach at university, and I stress it to my students all the time, especially if you want a long career and how can I say, add more good to the world. That's an easy way to say it. And unfortunately, though, there's a lot of bad things that go on. I'll give you another example. And this was a story I always mention this one because it was undercovered. Very few people talked about it, but I think it was a really important story. This was about Peter Thiel. And if you don't know, he was involved with the Silicon Valley bank run, essentially. and it was alerting all of his, millionaire and billionaire buddies to start pulling money out. Around the same time, his lover, he's gay, that's the whole other thing. It doesn't matter, but he's gay, and his lover actually was found dead in, I think it was Miami, and the police said, he hurt himself and jumped out a window, but who knows? I think this is pretty similar as the Boeing one. It just comes across really suspicious, and that's the person who died, and that's Peter Thiel there. Very few outlets covered this story. And again, I think this one is kind of a similar one. We'll maybe on these kind of things, we'll never know for sure. But again, the timing is really suspicious. And I just want to bring this stuff up because I think it's important. I don't know another way to say it, because, firstly, just regular people who want to do the right thing, whatever that may be, that there needs to be outlets out there where they can express themselves. And also too, you need the news to investigate things. So I'll give you another example. And you also need regulatory things from the government. This is one I mention from time to time. There's always something new with this one. This is Senator Bob Menendez. He's being charged with bribery. I think it was like he's involved with stuff with Egypt. Essentially, they're just paying him a bunch of money and, hey, we'll give you a bunch of money and then make sure that we can get weapons from the U.S. or whatever, right? This kind of stuff. And you're talking about like a lot of money involved with this stuff. And now they're charging him with more obstruction of justice, things like that. I think some of his people already pleaded guilty. He's claiming not guilty, but we'll see. I think usually when the government goes after, this is a senator, I'm pretty sure they got the goods on you. But we'll see. And this is also part of what I believe as well. And I'm happy to have these conversations with you. Is have a fair trial and a fair court and have discussions about this. And this is sort of why part of having a community as well is to go over things together. Because I do believe in, say, a jury system, et cetera, and this a fair legal process. But you have to understand too, though, is that if you have a lot of money, you can get around things, and this is sort of why I want to go back to the reporting kind of thing of where if someone is a whistleblower, they do need an outlet to share their story. This story was actually recently, just a couple days ago. I saw it. I'm just mentioning it now because I think it's an important one, but. It's there's so much stuff going on in the world every day, but this is about Elon Musk actually, and as it turns out, he's got this charity organization that he essentially gives a whole bunch of money to for tax breaks, but does not fulfill the obligation of the charity organization. So the basic gist of it is, my understanding, he gave like $7 billion to they call it the Elon Musk Foundation. And it's pretty ludicrous. This is the actual website. You can look it up. It's muskfoundation.org, but I guess this is the actual website of it, and it's just text. That's it. This is it. There's no links. There's no contact information. Nothing. It's just text, and it says we're doing all these great things. And the reporting came out, and essentially what it said is he gave like $7 billion to his own organization, and then the money that did go out from the organization, from his foundation, went to companies and entities and people that sort of are part of his network and benefit, his company. So self-serving kind of stuff. The other issues too is they haven't even given out all the money they're supposed to, because I guess what happens is that when you have this much money, you're given $7 billion to a foundation. You're required, I want to say it's like 5% of your money that you have. You're supposed to essentially donate that out in order to fulfill the tax breaks that you're getting, and he hasn't been doing that. The reason why again this is why reporting is so important is because regulators may not necessarily have time to get to this kind of thing, right? They don't necessarily have the people power to investigate everything all the time. It's just too much hassle. And so this is why when this comes up in the news, you're going to get two different things. So one is I think it's important to look at all this stuff and look at it fairly and honestly. The other thing is too is that for these kind of people, be it a Musk, and we're going to talk about Trump in a moment, or you can talk about Bob Menendez or whatever, or Boeing or whatever, they'll always say, oh, that media, they're just spreading lies, and they're just saying a bunch of nonsense and stuff like that. And these kind of people always say that kind of thing, right? And I want you to just always be critical of everything that you see, right? So maybe Elon Musk is telling the truth, maybe he's not. But either way, you should take a look at it with open eyes. And what I find strange in this world today, and it wasn't, I'm just telling you guys, it wasn't like this when I was a kid, or at least around people I hang out with, just regular citizens defending billionaires is always weird to me. I always find that strange. And that's part of the culture I guess we have on YouTube these days, because I'm sure there'll be Elon Musk fanboys and fangirls that say, oh, this is all nonsense, all made up. But I don't know. I read through this stuff and it seems pretty plausible to me. And you just wait for, Elon Musk's rebuttal, which he hasn't given, which I thought is kind of interesting. So he's been silent on this story. But to give you sort of, how can I say, juxtaposition, this is Elon Musk's foundation website. So you can see right there, it's just text compared to like Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation website, right? Which is like a real website. This is all the things that we give money to, and this is what we're doing, etc. And I mean, I don't explain it to you. It's obvious that the Musk thing is very little effort, and I guess according to tax filings, the Musk thing, they haven't even hired anyone really. It's like 3 people on staff or something like that. It's very, very minimal. Moreover, and again, I want to just talk to you guys about like, with the importance of reporting and getting different sides and stuff like that. Ask people. This is regarding one of the YouTube people. So Scott Schaefer guy, he's doing some sort of investigation, or I guess deep dive into Caleb Hammer, which we talked about on this channel. And it's interesting because Scott was posting a screenshot, and the basic gist of it was that, and I don't know if Scott has contracts or not, and I think that would be key if they have contracts, but he was saying that I guess Caleb was advertising that he would do profit sharing with people that come on to his YouTube channel, and like give them 25% of the money. And so like basically promising people like $2,500 to $8,000 for, being on his YouTube channel, which essentially you're hiring actors to do that. And there's always been rumors about that kind of stuff before. And now Scott evidently has some evidence on these things. And this is and we'll see. And Caleb hasn't responded. And Scott's saying here, it says here, since Caleb Hammer won't respond to my emails anymore, can you verify this is real and that you actually paid 25% commission on the revenue of the actors who appeared on your show? From the people I've talked to so far, no one received 25% ad revenue payment. Please clarify, right? And so, which is the right thing to do? You ask, and you do some investigation and say, hey, is this real or not? And see what someone has to say. Also want to talk about the Trump stuff. Usually Trump always says, oh, that, media is out to get me and don't believe in it. It's all lies, all fake news. But like these stories, and this is sort of why you look at this stuff together, seems pretty plausible to me. So this is the first one. Some in South Jersey have messaged Trump, pay your old Atlantic City casino bills. I guess he didn't pay a bunch of workers there. This is like another one to where when he was campaigning, going down to different cities, and the cities are saying, he didn't pay him there for the, I guess, police bill. It's like El Paso, Texas, Tucson, Spokane, Washington, Mesa, Arizona, Eau Claire, Wisconsin, Billings, Montana, Erie, Pennsylvania, Lebanon, Ohio, Green Bay, Wisconsin, Burlington, Vermont, etc. And it adds up, right? Here's another one. This is more not paying workers, etc. So this is like a person like right here saying, hey, you didn't pay me. And I want you guys to hear kind of like, because you want to hear different points of view on this stuff. This is coming from Eric Trump, so one of Trump's kids, on why they don't pay people. And I want you to hear it for yourself.
Contractors, but you'll have a story from 30 years ago. I saw one the other day. Well, this person didn't pay me. Yeah, well, they didn't finish the job and they didn't do a good job and they flaked out and they were 2 months behind schedule, and so you had to let go of them and you had to bring somebody else in to do the job that they otherwise would have. And it's called the real world. If somebody doesn't do a job, they don't show up for work, they don't do this. Well, clearly you're not gonna. It's. And I don't think there's probably anybody in this room, I mean, you guys are all business owners or work in big businesses, that if somebody doesn't fulfill a contract, you're going to pay them 100%. But, because of who we are and because people like to take cheap shots at us, they come out with this stuff. And
but before your father was elected president.
Yeah.
So I want you guys just to understand this, and this is where like good reporting matters, right? So basically the claim is, in this situation that people are saying, hey, you didn't pay us. And then the Trump people are going to say, well, you didn't do a good job. And it's like, you got to ask yourself the fundamental logical question, is that a reason why you wouldn't pay someone, right? It's a really interesting question. And it depends on like how good was the work, et cetera. But like digging into these kind of things, can the government go in like all the time to look at this stuff and essentially he said, she said, you have to look for evidence. Like it takes time and money. And this is sort of why I'm talking with you, why reporting, say independent social media or even, the bigger channels, et cetera, have to cover these kind of things because you don't know. I don't know. I can't tell you in every single situation that Trump, stiffed the bill. I don't know. I have no idea like this kind of thing here. But like I'm saying, like this Paul Free guy, but when these sort of things add up over time, you start to get reputation for this kind of stuff. So, I've heard about these things with Trump before, so I'm not shocked by it. And then when you see their language, you kind of corroborates with this sort of the thing that, yeah, it sounds like they're not paying people. And, this is sort of why we have a community to decipher this stuff together. Here's more examples, guys. I guess Trump's not paying his driver, not paying his cabinet maker, a paint seller, drapery person, toilet maker. It's like these kind of just random things that he doesn't pay people. And it's interesting to hear like, oh, they didn't do a good job. Or even, for example, I guess over with the social media company, he didn't pay people. Or even with, because you don't know Trump, if you don't know Trump, people are all getting in trouble and stuff like that over the whole election thing. And I guess they're not paying their lawyers. So their lawyers are quitting and even suing themselves. Like when their lawyers are suing, the people who are representing them. And this has been a recurring theme. I mention all this kind of stuff here, guys, because again, I try to read through everything as much as I can, and it's strange to me though, is that you have people out there who want to defend, billionaires and big companies, meaning that just regular people in comments, and I always find it so bizarre. Does this mean that this stuff is like always true all the time? Does Trump have to sell all of his properties to cover the fine? Who knows, right? But it is something worth talking about, and this is also too. It is sort of like, I always like to get your opinion as well. I can tell you exactly what I think all the time, right, etc. But I'll also tell you the truth that sometimes I don't know for sure, right? I don't know if Trump's going to have the cash on hand. I don't have access to Trump's bank account. And this is sort of something that I, mentioned to you guys as well, as I always try to define really clearly what is my opinion and what is the fact, right? Because it can be two different things. So this is, I appreciate having a community, and just sort of why I'm bringing this stuff up together, because the world is really, really difficult to navigate right now. So, for example, in this story, when I read this, again, with the Boeing whistleblower, my first reaction is it's sad. There's no other way to put it. And I can see, factually that unfortunately Mr. Barnett is no longer with us. And then, my personal opinion on this, something like this would be, it's suspicious, right? But do I know one way or the other? I don't, but I just say it's suspicious. And so I just wanted to go over this stuff with you guys, and just, I hope you understand my meaning of this, of why it's so important to have good information in a good community these days, because it's hard to know what to make of any of these kind of things. But, and also too, when you kind of go through everything, don't necessarily always assume everything all the time. Look at all of it for yourself, and get other people's opinion on that. Sort of why I'm sharing with you, and sort of my thoughts on this, and why I always appreciate you coming back for more and watching every day. So I do appreciate your time, and I like to hear your thoughts on any one of these things. And I'll catch you in the next video.